John Grisham was born in 1955 in Arkansas by a modest family of the South. Second born of 5 brothers, his childhood was scarred by many difficulties. In 1967, the family decided to move to a small town in Mississippi, where in 1981 Grisham graduated from the law school of the Mississippi State University. Passionate as a child to read and to authors such as John Steinbeck, he will begin to hold a personal diary, the first prelude to what will be his next activity as a writer. After graduating, he will pursue the profession of lawyer for over 10 years. Also interested in politics, he will be elected with the Democrats at the Mississippi House of Representatives, where he will remain for more than 5 years. It is in these 3 years that the author will begin to transform his passion for writing into a true passion by publishing several novels, including The Pelican Brief and The Partner. He was mainly the author of legal thriller, genre of which he is considered the inventor with Scott Turow. He will be able to make in his books his experiences regarding the legal profession as his dedication to writing. The Time to Kill, published in 1987 after 3 years of work, will be the first novel published by Grisham. Initially rejected by several publishers, it will have a great success in subsequent years. In 1996, director Joel Schumacher made a movie out of the book that, in few months, cashed over 152 million and received positive reviews from critics. The film has actors such as Matthew McConaughey, Samuel Jackson and Sandra Bullock. The film, which is about 2.5 hours long, received 2 awards and 3 nominations. The story, set in the state of Mississippi during the 80s, is all more intense and strong when it is discovered that the author has inspired it to a real fact. The protagonist is Carly Halley, who lives in his family in a black community of a provincial town where hate and racism still live in the head of many white people. The man's life changes when one day, coming back from work, he finds out that his 9-year-old daughter, Tonya, after being beaten and brutally raped, was thrown into a river to lose all traces of the crime. The little girl, although carrying serious physical and psychological damages, survives and tells what happened. And a few days later, 2 boys are arrested. They are both white guys with criminal precedents and a bad reputation in the town. Nevertheless, it is understood that they will receive a light punishment, if not even the freedom. And so, during the first appeal, Carly comes to court, killing the 2 guys. The incident triggers the journalist's interest and brings the enterprising young lawyer Jack Brigance to choose to defend his friend from the death penalty. It will be a long and complex trial that will divide the public opinion into 2. On the one hand, who believes in the justice made by the state, and on the other, who believes in the desperation of a man who, because of the color of the skin, would never have had justice for his daughter. History develops mostly in courtrooms, summations and trials, which are made even more complex and intricate by the entrance of the Ku Klux Klan and the NAACP. The work and the life of Brigance and all those who support him will in many cases be endangered by the Klan, who since the beginning of the trial seems to have reappeared in the small town. On the other hand, the same Black Civil Rights Association does not seem to like a white man holding in his hands the fate of a black man. However, despite the white jury and the hostile attitude of the judge, and thanks to the resonance that the case briefly triggers throughout the country, it is after 10 days of trial that Carly is completely absolved for mental illness. The Time to Kill has a complex plot. The theme of racism is surely the first and the most obvious, but what is fascinating to notice is how the author actually reveals a mutual kind of racism. White racism is the driving cause of Carly's crime. In fact, the two guys would never have been incriminated for the terrible crime they had committed, because they were white and the little girl was black. On the other hand, we have a black community that is increasingly acquiring the awareness of its rights, and which demonstrates its mistrust towards those who are helping them and to the white lawyer. This mutual diffidence is reflected in the relationship between Carly and Brigance, who, albeit friends, live distant and have different lives. Grisham tells us one of the stages of the evolution of the relationship between white and black people in America, highlighting in the closing statement how prejudice can unknowingly influence even the most open person. The theme of racism is linked with the theme of justice. The author puts us in front of a simple question: revenge or justice? Can we consider Carly's gesture a real revenge? And if not, is it acceptable for a civil society that a man takes justice in his own hands? This is the paradox that will accompany the story and which will reveal the mastery and the competence of the author in the field. It is clear in the story that no one has doubts about the man's guilt. However, public opinion is divided between those who put themselves in his shoes and want him free, and those, although justifying him, believe in the sovereignty of the state and consider a condemnation as fair. It is a moral dilemma that expresses its apex with the punishment offered by the accusation of the death penalty. It is clearly responsible for double murder, but such will be the influence of the public opinion that he is absolved for mental illness. The book itself is very complex. Mainly set up in courtrooms, it is particularly focused on the life of the criminal defense lawyer. Its work and the scene set up in the court are in fact described in detail. On the contrary, in the movie, for a matter of fluidity, the sentimental relationships of the characters are more highlighted. Choosing to focus on the emotional features of the movie is particularly successful, however, when the director needs to convey to the public that feeling of pain and frustration that Grisham can only infuse with words. At the same time, the film gives less importance to the premeditation that Carly puts in his gesture, diminishing in this way the fact that absolution for mental illness is only a mean of getting the freedom and not a real cause of the murder. In general, however, the director, thanks to the collaboration of an exceptional cast, has been able to make the plot as complete as possible, as well as the strong themes Grisham tries to expose on the book. My choice to make a comparison between the two is the result of the involvement that the story has inspired me, and if on one hand I prefer the book, which is more detailed and exhaustive, on the other hand I find that the director was exceptionally able to take us to task until the last minute. And if it was me,